Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Curious Ventures. Today's episode is going to be a little different. I was originally going to interview someone, but then a part of me was like, you have such a cool setup here. You should use it and do something else. So I did. So I am. I did want to announce for anybody that did not know, May is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, where we get to celebrate people from all over Asia who might have been born in America. And congratulations to those people, because I think it's cool that everybody kind of gets a month to celebrate their heritage and their culture while still being American, because America is all about uniting different cultures and experiencing different life. What do you think America is? How would you describe America like? Because there's so many cultures involved in making the United States, and there's so many regions. Like, people like to split up the country into different regions, and it's very interesting. I think our culture is always evolving and it's always alive, you know? But now we've developed this idea of like cancel culture. I don't know if you've heard of this, or maybe you've experienced it yourself. It's very interesting how our approval for people or businesses can be swayed very easily by one negative, piece of whatever, right? Like, whether it be an article or a statement or a hot mic pickup, right? Or maybe a video, whatever. It could be anything. And if it shows a company or a person in a negative light, we usually jump to pull the gun really quickly and condemn them. And sometimes that's not the best, I think, use of our time, just canceling people. Even though I've found out that, there are people who get a thrill out of it, which doesn't surprise me, especially because I'm sure it is fun to expose lies, and it is fun to bring truth to light. But there are still people who will get hurt from those types of situations, and it could ruin people's careers or ruin their lives. And unless they're being racist or hateful for no reason, then by all means cancel them. I'm talking more about the sense of people like who maybe they didn't necessarily have, you don't necessarily have the full, broad spectrum of the situation, and you're just basing it all off of one little article of whatever. So yeah, that was just randomly. I didn't even plan on talking about that. So I also wanted to mention this other thing of news that is going around. It's a conspiracy theory about Kim Jong-un and people saying that he's not actually alive. So there was a video released of Kim Jong-un cutting some red velvet rope. I guess they're opening something. And there's a lot of people speculating that that's not actually him, that they're saying that that's a body double and that he's actually dead. And it's very interesting how deep these theories are going. And there's people who even point to the fact that, yes, even Kim has admitted that he does have body doubles, and they have videotaped him at a missile launch with a couple of them. So it's very interesting for sure. Like, there is the possibility, but we don't know necessarily if that's true or not. Andrew Yang has endorsed David Kim. Oh my goodness. Isn't that awesome? Yes and yes. It is one of the coolest things ever, especially if you're a part of the Yang Gang, and especially if you know anything about David Kim's campaign here in California, especially Los Angeles District 34 specifically. Very exciting stuff that's going to keep coming out of that campaign, and very excited to be a part of it. So I'll keep you updated with different things that might be going on, and maybe we need volunteers and you guys can come help us out. The next thing I wanted to talk about is California opening back up. Apparently Governor Gavin Newsom, has said that beginning Friday, counties and regions of California will have the option to open back up. And this is what is being called phase 2 of 4. We're going to be seeing bookstores, clothing stores, music stores, sports stores, and florists, just among the few. And this is only for curbside pickup. This isn't an official opening of these types of venues, but it is a curbside pickup, which is fantastic news and absolutely great for this California economy that we're in, especially because since the pandemic, we have been struggling, and it has been difficult for everybody. And I don't just speak for us Californians, but I speak for everyone across the nation. And I know we're all struggling with that. And it's very interesting to see the way a lot of people are responding, this slow reopening is going to be a real test of our strength and our dexterity to survive, mainly because there could be the possibility that we open too quickly and there is a larger spread. However, I do want to say this. Within the last 2 weeks of traveling from San Antonio to here, to Los Angeles, I have noticed and I have observed a lot of people, through random interactions. I did not necessarily run into several people who were either sick or coughing or even had symptoms of being sick. I have not run into people like that in a while. And that's very great, because then that means those people are staying home or they're getting the help they need. I do want to point out that Los Angeles will not necessarily be opening because of the fact that Mayor Eric Garcetti is not trying to loosen everything up right away, which is okay. If Mayor Garcetti feels like the city is not necessarily ready to have a full opening or even a partial open, then, he knows best. He's in that position to guide us, and we should just listen to what he has to say. And so very interested in seeing that future develop as well. But I do want to mention restaurants, bars, malls, and beaches are still closed in California. That is not opening up. That is not a part of phase 2. They are not going to open right now. Okay, so this is interesting. Juul, the big tobacco and nicotine company, is moving their headquarters from San Francisco to none other than Washington, D.C. And it says it's in an effort to reconnect with the people that they feel like maybe they wronged with, the selling of their product. However, I believe that it's probably because they just want to, have a higher influence in Washington, which shouldn't surprise you, and it shouldn't surprise you when corporations do it. Which is interesting, though, how Juul literally is moving to D.C. is beyond insane. Netflix just released a teaser trailer for a new show called Space Force, starring Steve Carell, and this thing is hilarious. It is so random that out of all the things that Netflix could do next, it is that. A show about the Space Force, and they're making a goof of it, and so we'll see. I'll link the trailer in the bio so you guys can check it out. Other exciting Netflix news, Joe Exotic is getting his own movie. It's crazy that he's getting a movie, but it's even crazier that Nicolas Cage is going to be playing him. I think that that's so bizarre, but awesome, because I feel like if anybody's going to do that role justice, it's probably going to be Nicolas Cage. So I just want to say something about the last video I released on my channel about the stock market and the basics of how to get in. I released information about certain stocks that I chose to highlight because I myself feel like, hey, they might do well in the future. And I looked at the data, like I said, with the PTC beforehand for those last couple of months. And I think the airlines were could come back, right? A couple of people messaged me and pointed out the fact that there is the possibility that the airlines could become bankrupt. And I want to preface by saying they have just gotten bailed out by the government, and the likelihood of them going bankrupt is low if the pandemic ends soon. However, if we're looking at a year from now, the situation might not necessarily be fortunate for us. But like I said, I just want to say that because I don't want people to invest and then, like I said, I don't want you coming back to me and saying, hey, I lost money because of that. These are investment decisions that I make based on my own portfolio and data that I've looked at. You are more than welcome to have your own opinion, and you don't necessarily have to listen to what I say. You don't have to invest in these stocks. I'm just highlighting data that I saw and that I want to present to you as an opportunity because I see it as that. However, if you or someone doesn't see it that way, feel free to reach out. I'm always open to having a dialogue about it. And in the future, I do want to point to not necessarily well-known stocks. I want to focus on stocks that maybe are on the rise and nobody really knows about them too much. More hidden gems, I guess. And so I will make sure to pinpoint that and talk about that in the next episode. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And I did want to mention as well to the people who reached out to me, I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate critiques. I think that a channel only succeeds with it. So keep them coming if you have them. I will say this. United has said that they will start furloughing more than half of the people that work for them, I believe, after September 30th. So at least you have some time between now and then. Like I said, most of these corporations, if the pandemic ends soon, will come back. And most people are saying that. But the problem is if we see a long-term loss, as far as we're stuck at home for a much longer period of time, then obviously the situation will be different. But I just want to say that, because even the cruise lines have said that they have about a year of money to survive on, at least 12 months, and they can always liquidate assets. So I just want to say again, stocks are about holding on to them for the long term. So some of these might be great long-term hauls, and some of them might not be right for you. So just know that. And in the future, I'll try to say that more and more. You don't have to take my stock advice. I am just pointing you to data and patterns that I saw. And maybe some people know more information because they have done more research as far as what the future holds. And I will try to be more accurate with my reporting. So thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate you. So before I wrap this up, this was supposed to be fast. I don't necessarily want to spend too much time talking about too many things. I kind of just wanted to have a couple of, random topics that I thought were interesting, and, just have fun. So last thing I want to mention is I recorded another episode of Clear the Haze, one last episode with my buddy Willie Thomas. That was the podcast I used to host before I started doing YouTube, and I just want to talk about it real fast because the episode itself was really, really crazy and profound and kind of out of this world. I spotlight this YouTuber I've been watching called Probably Alexandra, and she goes into a much deeper theory of what is going on in the world right now and how biblical prophecy plays a big role in what's going on. And she just compares a lot of things and connects a lot of dots, and it's a very interesting theory. I will link her channel below just so anybody else can feel free to go and check out her content. The final episode of Clear the Haze with me on it will drop, I'm assuming, by the time that this is released. So I will link that below as well. But I just want to point to the fact that show was an amazing experience. I had so much fun recording with Willie and just having all those different guests. We interviewed a lot of really cool people, and we got to know ourselves, I think, a lot more as well. And I will treasure those moments, and I look forward to the future of that show. And I hope for the best for everyone who becomes involved and is involved currently, which is Willie. Shouts out. So definitely check that out. I did want to just leave you with this funny picture that I saw on Reddit. So basically, this guy's grandma wanted a picture of him and his friend for, I guess, their graduation photo. And so if you'll just see the picture, it's pretty funny. And, it's safe to say that the grandma did not like it, which is hilarious to me. I do want to spotlight Ed Rosenthal. I'm going to be reading his book, Salvation Canyon, and then I'm hopefully going to be interviewing him on a later date. I'm going to be reading this book. It's basically, he was stranded in Joshua Tree, and he found his way out. He survived, and he wrote a book about it, telling the story. The launch hasn't happened yet, but I will read this, and so we'll interview Ed, and I think it'll be a fun interview. So I wanted just to remind people to read their Bibles, even if it's just a couple scriptures a day. Anything really is good. It's good to dwell in the presence of God every once in a while. Hey, if you could do it every day, do it every day. But definitely take the time, pray. I pray for all of you, and I pray that you may just be blessed even after all of this pandemic stops and we are able to return to a normal life. So I bless you, and I love you so much. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like and subscribe if you did. Please leave comments if you had fun with any of the topics that we talked about. And I look forward to the next one because it's going to be just as fun as this one, but with new stuff. So stay curious, everyone. I'll see you then.